Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna and welcome to all the devotees on the line. Thank you very much for your kind association. As we continue Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5, verses 1 to 8. the cause of all causes. Om Jnanatmivandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishwakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Bhavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Pustata Disatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarvashastra Piyusha, Sarva Vedeka Satvala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya, Sarva Lokai Triprada, Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavato Prabhu, Alidwando Didaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita, Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophy conclusions, O you who grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O O light breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasha Rayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namaste. O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love, God, upon the reader. You always be served by everyone for your incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madekabando Mad Sange Mad Guru Mahadana Man Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu Sadhu Tadain, Atini Chochataraka, Anamancha, Anamancha Kadachinmam, Premna Ritkatayospura, O Srimad Bhagavatam, O give us saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplift the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest, my heart to my throat, accompany pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yotonvayaditaratas Charte Swabhigna Swarat Tene Brahma Hidaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatrati Sargam Risha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakwakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O Bhavini person out of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Krishna because Lord Shri Krishna, because He is the absolute truth and the prime cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, destructions of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and He is independent because there is no other cause beyond Him. It is He only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By Him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of Him do the material universes temporarily manifest by the reactions of three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon Him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon Him, for He is the absolute truth. Prayanalpayasha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Mateo Manda Bhagyo Padrita. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, many but short lives, the quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayana Namaskritya Narachevam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasa, the author. Savai pumsa parodharmo yata bhaktira dakshaja ahitukiya pratyata yatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service under the transcendent love. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnana Yaktusa Vairagyam Dhyanam Chayat Hoitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of God at Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires positive knowledge and detachment from the world. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yach gnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learn the transcendentalists who know the absolute truth, all this non-dual substance, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Shrushusho Shadranasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Otherwise, upon sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shrimtam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ryadantastoya Bhadrani Vidunati Suvitatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, supposed in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the true devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees, develop the urge to hear his messages, which in themselves virtues and properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayashu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati nashtiki. By regular tenets in the class of the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service under the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs. He is established as an irrevocable fact. Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharmam Pari Nishtaya Janmalabha Parapumsam Ante Narayanam Smriti. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Akama Sarvakamo Vak Mukshakamo Dharidi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajate Purusham Param. A person who has broad intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, without any material desire, desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna, and welcome again to all devotees. It's been a few weeks since we had our session on Srimad Bhagavatam due to all the festivals, and last week due to Zoom not attending to our PIN number. Right, so I'm not sure how much you can recollect, but if you can recollect, let us know what you can recollect from chapter 4. Anything that comes to your mind that from the previous sessions from chapter 4, let us know in the chat. And while you are typing in the chat anything related to chapter 4, we will read one excerpt from that from the purport, text 25. There is no use in theories. Knowledge must be factual. There are many things that are complicated, and one cannot understand them unless they are explained by one who knows. The Vedic knowledge is also very difficult to know and must be learned by the above-mentioned system. Otherwise, it is not at all understood. Sukadeva Goswami therefore prayed for the mercy of the Lord so that he might be able to repeat the very same message that was spoken directly by the Lord to Brahma, or what was directly spoken by Brahma to Narada. Therefore, the statements of creation explained by Sukadeva Goswami are not at all, as the mundaners suggest, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. One who hears these messages and tries to assimilate them gets perfect information of the material creation. So before we touch and expand on this, Mother Archana CD says, Hare Krishna, a devotee should be honest and not pretentious, because that will not allow him to make spiritual progress. Krishna does not like those who pretend. Yes. Krishna prefers honesty Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, it is better to be a charlatan, it's better to be a street sweeper than to be a charlatan yogi. Even a street sweeper is honest that yes, I'm a street sweeper, and he gets Krishna's mercy. But somebody who pretends, Krishna's mercy evades him. So honesty is the best policy, as they say. Now in this verse, the whole of chapter 4 is interesting because Maharaj Parikshit asked a question, and that question was related to creation. And Shamananda Prabhu says, very wonderful verses showing Sukadeva Goswami's mood in speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, asking the Lord to help him do so. Yes, and that's the central theme of chapter 4. False ego is our greatest stumbling block from surrendering and submitting more and more to Krishna. Ahankar. I am great, I am it, I am the doer, I am above all. Now the false ego is the greatest obstacle. Nice verses in Bhagavad Gita explaining that the persons have to make offering to Lord Vishnu. Nice wording there from Srila Prabhupada, but the Lord is not like a shopkeeper. Yes. Bhafana Prabhu says, I also believe authenticity is virtue in the process of bhakti, no need to please anyone. Or vital. Yeah. Authenticity is vital. True. When you're authentic, you will please those who are authentic. When you're trying to please someone by faking it, then that means that person who you're trying to fake it to is also fake, because they definitely do not understand the words of Krishna. We find Srila Prabhupada, he was such an amazing personality that you could not fake yourself in front of him, even if you tried. You would reveal that out of you. So you could not fake it. He could see right through you. Those who are not pure enough naturally cannot detect that you're faking them, but Krishna in the heart knows. And ultimately, it is Krishna's perspective and view that determines where we go. Prabhupada Saraswati, I mentioned this in our Ram Katha. Srila Prabhupada Saraswati says that even if the whole world, even if you are impressive and the whole world glorifies you, but Krishna does not recognize you, what's the use? And even if the whole world spits at you, but Krishna recognizes you, that is glorious. So we here really to please Krishna. And pleasing Krishna means pleasing Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavad Gita, pleasing these personalities, but genuinely. Now, as Shamananda Prabhu says, the whole chapter 4, Maharaj Parikshit asks a question on creation. And Sukadeva Goswami practically spends the whole chapter 4 glorifying the qualities, form, name, fame, qualities, pastimes of Krishna, offering prayers to the Supreme Lord, so that he may speak in line with the disciplic succession to answer Maharaj Parikshit's question. And it is interesting that he does not, and we're going to see that in this chapter, he does not begin to explain the creation from his perspective. He simply repeats the disciplic succession. He simply repeats the dialogue between Brahma and Narad Muni. Why? Because Narad Muni had the exact same question which he asked Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma answered Narad Muni. So therefore, Maharaj Sukadeva Goswami simply repeats that dialogue. And we see this very often through the Bhagavatam, that a question is presented and the speaker, he will say, yes, this question was also asked, and then he gives the dialogue that happened in the past, so that there is the repetition of the truth amongst perfect souls. And Prabhupada says that therefore the statement of creation explained by Sukadeva Goswami are not at all, as the mundanists suggest, theoretical, but are perfectly correct. If we repeat the message of Narada and Brahma, if we repeat the message of Arjuna and Krishna, if we repeat the message of Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj Parikshit, this is coming in disciplic succession. And because it is a perfect disciplic succession with perfect beings, perfect souls, then whatever we say, repeating the message, it is perfect. The mundaners, the intellectual scholars, materialistic scholars may not appreciate, may not understand. Well, that is their problem. Our problem or our duty is simply to repeat. That's why Srila Prabhupada was not shy to present the Vedic viewpoint of creation at the Vedic planetarium. He didn't say, oh yes, if we present the creation as per the Vedic theology, as per Bhagavatam, they're going to laugh at us. Because it's like, really, you're telling me these things are in the creation? Like, we see through our telescope. We don't see any of these things. Oh, you believe Mahavishnu, universal. We don't see that. So Prabhupada didn't shy away that, oh yeah, they're going to mock at us. No. We should not shy away from the truth. The truth, as they say, will set you free. So we naturally, if we're convinced of the truth, then we are not embarrassed and shy to speak the truth. We don't have a motive in sharing the truth. Sukadeva Goswami does not have a motive in sharing the truth. He's not there in front of Maharaj Parikshit to gain the king's favor. He's a king. I'll get a large donation from him. Nope. He's not there to get popular vote. He's simply there to repeat the truth for the benefit of Sukadeva Goswami. So the Bhagavatam is presented to us for that exact purpose. Srila Prabhupada is presenting the Bhagavatam, which is the absolute truth, for our benefit, not for any mundane material motive. And there are verses in the scriptures, and Srila Prabhupada also warns in his purports, that if one uses the Bhagavatam for profit, that is the greatest disservice. It is actually sinful. It is detrimental to one's spiritual life. So we are understanding that the Bhagavatam is Krishna, understanding that the Bhagavatam is given to us by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. He sacrificed the most cherished of all hours, 11 to 4, when we are all sleeping, and would not give those hours up for anything. Prabhupada sacrificed those hours to give his Bhagavatam, Bhaktivedanta purports in the Bhagavatam to us. So we should appreciate, be grateful, and regularly associate with the Bhagavatam. So we are covering chapter 5, causes of all causes, verses 1 to 8. Narad's question, conviction, and doubts. So 6 questions about the universe, which are similar questions that Maharaj Parikshit asked, and therefore this chapter is going to go through those 6 questions. We're going to be presented with the 6 questions, and then the chapter will then unfold the different questions related to creation. And we also made the point that creation, and Prabhupada makes this point, many people jump to the 10th canto, Rasalila. But the aspects of creation is important for sadhakas to understand, to hear, and appreciate, so that our faith becomes stronger and stronger in Krishna, that Krishna is no ordinary person. Krishna is supremely powerful, and that power, that potency of creation, of power, comes through very clearly when we hear the creation, because the creation is magnificent. Krishna's creation is amazing. So when we delve into the creation, I'm not sure how many of you, when we're children, we go at night and we look at the sky, and so many thoughts come to our mind. Oh, just see how vast, how many stars, so many living entities there that we cannot even perceive. Or you go to the ocean and you see the vastness of the ocean, and just the vastness of the ocean humbles one. So that's the point. When we understand Krishna's infinite creation, magnificent creation, in relation to our teeny self, we become humble, and it inspires submission, inspires surrender to the Supreme Lord. Text 1. Narada Uvacha Deva Deva Namastestu Uttabhavana Purvaja Tadvi Janihi Yajnanam Atmatattva Nidarshanam. Sri Narad Muni asked Brahmaji, O chief amongst the demigods, O firstborn living entity, I beg to offer my respectful obeisance unto you. Please tell me that transcendental knowledge which specifically directs one to the truth of the individual soul and supersoul. Atmat Tattvat Nidarshanam. Prabhupada in the purport says, the perfection of the Parampara system, or the path of disciplic succession, is further confirmed. In the previous chapter, it has been established that Brahmaji, the firstborn living entity, received knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord. And the same knowledge was imparted to Narada, the next disciple. Narada asked to receive the knowledge, and Brahmaji imparted it upon being asked. Therefore, asking for transcendental knowledge from the right person and receiving it properly is the regulation of the disciplic succession. This process is recommended in Bhagavad Gita 4.2. The inquisitive student must approach a qualified spiritual master to receive transcendental knowledge by surrender, submissive inquiry, and service. Knowledge received by submissive inquiries and service is more effective than knowledge received in an exchange for money. A spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from Brahma and Narada has no demand for dollars and cents. A bona fide student has to satisfy him by sincere service to obtain knowledge of the relation and nature of the individual soul and supersoul. So the disciplic succession, the perfection of the disciplic succession, the disciple inquires, a qualified disciple inquires from a qualified spiritual master. and knowledge is disseminated. Respect is given upwards, and mercy and blessings is delivered down. So the disciplic succession. And this submissive inquiry service, this is the system, and not the exchange of money, because when there's exchange of money, then submission and service may not be there. You can pay for these things, or you can pay for knowledge, but when you pay for knowledge, the truth, that truth does not manifest in one's heart. One does not realize the truth. See, I can know the truth, but realizing the truth is a greater aspect. Knowing the theory is one thing. Realizing the theory is another aspect. We find simple basic aspects of Krishna consciousness. We know we're not the body. We're spiritual beings. We have eternal relation with Krishna. We are servants of Krishna. We know that. But when time comes and we are tested, then we fail. Why? Because there's a distinct difference between Vigyan, realized knowledge, and knowledge. And many people and everyone can have knowledge, but not everyone will have that realized knowledge. So we want to embrace the qualities of surrender, submission, and service, so that we can then receive this truth and pray for it to be realized. And the realization may also not be fully manifested. There can be different degrees of realization. At least to some degree, there should be some realization, because that degree of realization, when we apply, when we act on that, will then increase our realization greater and greater and greater. For example, Srila Prabhupada says that the quality of simplicity is a sign that you realize you're not the body. So someone who begins to live his life more simple, knowing that he's a spiritual being, and therefore, many of the material facilities and facets that entice people is really superfluous and irrelevant, and therefore we don't need that. And because I don't need that, because I'm a spirit soul, and I'm happy to live a simple life, then that means realization. Not like externally I'm trying to be simple, but internally there's a turmoil. There's a volcano that's saying, I want, I need, I have to have. My neighbor's got, I need. My friend's got, I need. That means a realization that I am spirit hasn't dawned upon that soul. So the disciplic succession is very important, because the truth flows through the disciplic succession. Mercy flows through the disciplic succession. And therefore, without that connection to the disciplic succession, the ultimate perfection of reviving our lost relationship with Krishna, our loving relationship, will not happen. Nectar Devotion describes that ultimately, when we receive mercy, when we receive blessings, when we receive the knowledge in disciplic succession, and we apply that knowledge in our life through consistent practice, and we get the mercy of the holy name, then eventually the internal potency descends through the disciplic succession and enters into our heart and reignites, rekindles that love that's there. So the disciplic succession plays a very, very important role. And I can extend a little for us, those who are aligned to Srila Prabhupada. The Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is our disciplic succession, but also more so Srila Prabhupada's instructions as the founder Acharya. So therefore, for us, Prabhupada's teachings should be our guiding light, our guiding principle. Prabhupada's teaching should be our all in all. Even though there may be variations and differences in a disciplic succession. But our connection is via Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, we align ourselves faithfully, completely to Srila Prabhupada. Immaterial of other practices. Text 2. Yad rupam yad adishtanam yata shrishtam idam prabho yat samstam yat param yat cha tat tattvam vada tattvata. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifested world. What is its background? How is it created? And how is it conserved? And under whose control is this all being done? So such pertinent questions. Questions that every scientist is also asking. The scientist is also asking the same questions. Please tell me, how is this creation created? What is the source of this creation? How is it created? How is it maintained? Because if you consider what goes in the scientist's head, he's looking at the sun. We have such a challenge on the planet with resources, energy. If you take, for example, in South Africa, Eskom, such a challenge. But then they look at the sun and they say, but just see, the sun's blazing every single day, non-stop. There's no load shedding in the sun. Sun never, decides, okay, today, I'm not feeling well, I'm not going to get up, not going to rise. No, sun's rising and setting every single day, like clockwork. So the sun is rising every day, and its energy that it's dissipating is inconceivable. So what is powering the sun that it's able to dissipate so much energy, so much fuel is being burnt? They even have calculated some astronomical, number in terms of the power of the energy coming from the sun. And they thinking, what is creating that energy? Because energy cannot be created outside nothing. There has to be an energetic source that creates more energy. So if the sun is burning, there has to be that fuel, there has to be that energy behind that sun. What is that energy? That seems to be non-ending. So like that, so many questions there. Narad Muni is asking these pertinent questions. What is the background? Now the scientists, they try to understand creation in an ascending way. We try to understand creation descending. Descending means I receive knowledge from a higher source, from a higher perfect source. Ascending means I try to figure it out myself. It is impossible to figure out creation on your own. Why? Because your senses are limited, your instruments are limited, you are limited, and therefore you cannot get perfect knowledge on creation. No matter how good your telescope is, no matter how advanced your telescope is, or how advanced it will become, you will not be able to see Mahavishnu lying in the causal ocean. Yet we know perfectly well Mahavishnu is there because of descending knowledge. So descending knowledge is the most perfect and saves us so much time. Prabhupada gives the example of Dr. Frog in the well. His friend comes from the ocean, and Dr. Frog in the well, he asks his friend, how big is the ocean? And his friend says, oh, many times wider than this well. And Dr. Frog is trying to understand, but his mind cannot perceive the size of the ocean because he is limited. The inquiries by Narad Muni on the basis of factual cause and effect appear very reasonable. The atheists, however, put forward many self-made theories without any touch of cause and effect. So Prabhupada is highlighting one of the defects of atheists. They don't believe in God as the creator. And Narad Muni, his questions are very clear that because we see something, there has to be, because we see something, the effect of something. We are seeing effect all around us. And because we see effect around us, there has to be a cause. You cannot have an effect without a cause. In every sphere of life, there has to be a cause. If you consider your body, if you got pain in your hand, that pain is an effect. There is a cause. Now, you may not know the cause, but that does not deny that the cause exists. Similarly, the planets, they're floating. How are they floating? The effect of floating is caused by something or someone. That means there's a cause. So in every part of creation, there's the cause and effect. We cannot deny that. Naturally, the atheists, they deny it, and this is the defect. But somebody who's theistic, he will, yes, understand that there is a cause. Now I need to find out that cause, because the cause will play an important part in me as the effect to understand my purpose. Consider a child that's born. The child is born, which is the effect of a cause, the coming together of mother and father, the parents, conceiving the child. So there is a cause and there is the effect. Now, the effect as the child has his own independence, minute independence, but not completely outside the parents, the cause. So it behooves the child, or the parents need to educate the child that you are here because of us, and there is a link, there is a connection, there is a purpose of that bond. So similarly, we also as spiritual beings exist as the effect. And there is a cause. What is that cause in relation to me as the effect as a spiritual being, because that will determine how I should live my life. The manifested world, as well as the spirit soul, is still unexplained by the godless atheist through the medium of experimental knowledge, although they have put forward many theories manufactured by their fertile brains. This point the Prabhupada is making, you will see again and again. So many educated people, even from a religious background, you will find they use this statement very, very often. Your soul, like may your soul rest in peace. Your soul has a purpose. So if it's again your soul, you still haven't gone to the actual you. Whereas you find in Prabhupada's books, in the Vedas, it's very, very clear. It's not your soul. It is you who are the soul. So you, the soul, not your soul. And that knowledge of you, the soul, we know that because of the cyclic succession. We know that because of Srila Prabhupada. Without that knowledge, we will have to speculate. And when you speculate, the likelihood of you getting it wrong is 99%. Especially on subjects that you cannot perceive. People are, experts in speculating about creation, about things that are beyond the purview of the eyes, the senses. And then you get foolish people who, because they are able to speak so eloquently and mesmerizingly, then you get foolish people who then follow. And then you get a whole movement. So Srila Prabhupada, he is Hare Krishna. It looks like I just got kicked out of Zoom. Okay, you're able to see my screen again. Just let me know if you're able to see. Recording is still going on. Somebody is listening to me. Okay. No, the atheists are very good. We have to, shouldn't criticize them. They're very nice. Prabhupada is straight. Prabhupada doesn't beat around the bush. There's a beautiful memory. Everyone can hear me? Right, good, thank you. So there's a beautiful memory. I think it was in France. The devotee invited Srila Prabhupada to meet the elite government president, whoever was there. So there was a set meeting and they were meant to meet at a certain place. Prabhupada and the disciple were already there early. Prabhupada was sitting in front. Next to him was the servant, and they're sitting and waiting for the important people in the government. So then the important people walks in, and the servant gets up because important person. And as soon as the servant gets up, then Prabhupada is sitting, and the servant is like saying, Prabhupada, you have to get up. And Prabhupada says, for who? Like, who should I get up for? Right? The servant was thinking, he's an important person, but Prabhupada was thinking, no, he is not important. Krishna is more important. Now, here we can see Prabhupada is a pure devotee. He is more important than an important member of the parliament. The member of the parliament should have been there first to receive Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is more important. The pure devotee is the sum total of all demigods. What to talk about representing the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Prabhupada was not shy to call a spade in relation to atheists or those who are cheating. Because the pure devotee is meant to be the emblem of truth. The pure devotee is meant to shine. Om Jnanati Mirandasya is meant to shine the light of truth. So therefore, Prabhupada did not shy away. Now, contrary to such mental speculative theories of creation, however, Narad Muni wanted to know all the facts of creation in truth and not by theories. The theory of Big Bang, it's not the truth. It's a theory conjured up. It has not been proven. Darwin's theory of evolution, it's a theory. They call it Darwin's theory of evolution. Yet people accept it as true. So Narad Muni, he's asking his father, tell me the truth. I don't want the theory. I want the truth. But how are you going to know the truth? I mean, how is a child going to know how he was created? How is a baby going to know how he came in this world? It's impossible. I clearly remembered asking my mother, how did I come into this world? And she didn't answer. Scientists only understand, you just say scientists only understand 10% of creation. They understand not even less. They have no clue of creation. Because if you don't know Krishna and you don't know how Krishna created, then you have no clue about creation. Yes, you can analyze, those things around you, which they're good at. They can analyze a bacteria, they can, dissect. So on one level, they can know about matter that they can perceive, but even then, they are perceiving matter relative to the instruments they're creating. The more advanced the instruments, the more advanced they're able to, or the more they're able to see. The challenge with perceiving the truth in an ascending way is that Maya can bend that truth. There are different dimensions, and therefore, if you are not meant to access a dimension, then the dimension that you are in will be closed so that you cannot enter into higher dimensions. So like that, they can be different blockages that stops you from accessing higher truths. But when you see it from Krishna's perspective, or Brahma's perspective, who are the creators, then they're able to obviously give you the ultimate truth that is there. All right, let's move on. So the 6 questions that Narad Muni is asking. What is the characteristic of the universe? First question, yad rupam. Then what is its shelter? Yad adishtanam. Then yata shrishtam. How is it created? The process of creation. Yet samstam. How is it conserved? How is it in what it merges at destruction? Yat param, what it depends on, and what it is composed of, the ingredients. So very, very clear. The question, practically the questions that scientists should be asking. What is the nature? What is the characteristics of the universe? What is the shelter? How is it created? How is it destroyed and conserved? Because a creation has a beginning and end. What it depends on, and what is its composition. Transcendental knowledge regarding the soul and the supersoul includes knowledge of the phenomenal world and the basis of its creation. In the phenomenal world, there are three things. In the phenomenal world, three things are factually observed by any intelligent man: living beings, the manifest world, and the ultimate controller over them. So these three aspects, the living being, the world, and there's a controller, ultimate control. So let's just consider these three aspects. The living being is very, very clearly identified, or at least perceived, when? When is the living being factually observed, factually perceived? Even though they may not see the living being, but when is the living being's existence, that means the living entity, the soul, existence very clearly noted that yes, there was something there. Anyone? So the living being, spirit soul, is clearly noted at the time of death. When someone dies, that distinction between a living body and a dead body, what distinguishes a living body from a dead body is a life force. And that life force, we know that there's a life force. We know that something happened between a living body and a dead body. Something happened in the living body that makes that body now dead. What is that? There's that life force that left. Now, the scientists and the materialists may not know the details. The Vedic scriptures very, very clearly gives us the details. The manifested world, we can see that's clear. And then we know that Prabhupada often make the point, if there are laws, just like there are road guidelines on how to drive your car, certain guidelines in terms of respecting the road signs. You stop at a robot when it's red. You go when it's green. There is a yield sign, stop sign, etc. So there are principles and laws that govern how you drive. How are those laws created? They're created by a lawmaker. There are certain policies and principles or governance rules that people follow in the country. How are those laws created? They're created by the government. So similarly, you cannot have laws without a lawmaker. Creation is governed by certain laws. You cannot have those laws if there is no lawmaker. That lawmaker is the ultimate controller. So therefore, we have the living being, manifested world, and then that person or that force that is ultimately controlling both. Intelligent men can see that neither the living entity nor the phenomenal world are creations of chance. The symmetry of creation and its regulative actions and reactions suggest the plan of an intelligent brain behind them. And by genuine inquiry, one may find out the ultimate cause with the help of one who knows them factually. So this is very, very clearly, there are many, many videos, many of the Christian groups, they use this principle, and they've created many videos to prove that God exists, just on this principle of symmetry of creation. That when you look at creation, there's a clear sign of intelligence, in creation. And when you start, going deeper into creation, you notice, yes, how did someone decide that it needs to be like this? Because if it wasn't like this, the ramification would be disastrous. I saw one video where the scientists, they analyze the eye to, as detailed as they can go into the eye. And the more they going deeper and deeper into the eye, the more it is becoming clear that this was not by chance. This is creation by design. Somebody actually had a very clear understanding, a clear knowledge, a clear know-how of what they want, and they are designing, or they are creating the creation according to their intention, according to their design. So it's not whimsical, it's not by chance that creation is there. And we see this in Fibonacci laws, rules, or numbers. We see the patterns that is there in creation. We then see, for example, uniqueness, like your fingerprints. They're unique. Billions of living entity, human beings, and each one has a unique fingerprint. We look at, so there's uniqueness on one hand, there's specific designs, intelligence that's there, showing that somebody has actually thought about the creation. It is not by chance. 3. Sarvam yatad bhavan veda bhuta bhavya bhavat prabhu kama karamalakavat vishwam vigna navasitam tava. My dear Father, all this is known to you scientifically, because whatever was created in the past, whatever will be created in the future, or whatever is being created at present, as well as everything within the universe, is within your grip, just like a walnut. So clearly, Narada Muni knows Lord Brahma's position, and therefore he has faith that Brahma knows the past in terms of creation, because he created it. He knows the future, and he knows the present. Brahma has that potency, that ability, that gift given to him by the Supreme Lord. So therefore he can scientifically, without speculation, give the truth. Brahma is the direct creator of the manifested universe and everything within the universe. He therefore knows what happened in the past, what will happen in the future, and what is happening at present. 3 principal items, namely the living being, the phenomenal world, and the controller, are all in continuous action, past, present, and future. And the direct manager is supposed to know everything of such actions and reactions, as one knows about a walnut within the grip of one's palm. The direct manufacturer of a particular thing is supposed to know how he learned the art of manufacturing, where he got the ingredients, how he set it up and how the products in manufacturing process are being turned out. Because Brahma is the firstborn living being, naturally he is supposed to know everything about the creative functions. So, nice example Prabhupada is giving. Just like a manufacturer. He knows, he's the manufacturer, so he knows how the idea came. He knows about all the ingredients that have been used. He knows the process of manufacturing. He knows the end product. Everything is known to him as the manufacturer. So Brahma is like the manufacturer of this creation. So therefore, he knows all the details. Text 4. Yad vignano yad adaro yat parastam yat atmakam eka shrejasi bhutani bhutair evatmamaya. My dear father, what is the source of your knowledge? So now he's going a little deeper. What is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing? And under whom are you working? What is your real position? Do you alone create all entities with material elements by your personal energy? Because it seems like Brahma, if you in that environment, you think Brahma is the supreme. He's got all the power to create, destroy. He's there. He knows everything, past, present, and future. So it seems like he's the supreme. And he's got the potencies to create. Narad Muni is inquiring where you get your knowledge from. Are you the source? Under whose protection are you standing? Or are you the supreme? Are you working under anyone? Or are you the boss? What is your real position? And do you alone create all entities within material elements by your personal energy? Is it your energies? So these are the questions of someone who is more intelligent or very intelligent than someone who's just inquiring about creation. So you can see Narad Muni's questions are like two layers. One is about the creation and all the aspects of creation, and then the other is where is that knowledge coming from? And is there someone higher? Oh, but purport. It was known to Sri Narad Muni that Lord Brahma attained creative energy by undergoing severe austerities. As such, he could understand that there was someone else superior to Brahmaji who invested Brahma with the power of creation. So that is intelligence. If Lord Brahma was meditating, because when Brahma was created, when Brahma came into existence, he didn't know his purpose. So then he heard tapa, and he meditated. And then Krishna appeared to him. And Krishna then enlightened him. So that means he went through a process of empowerment. So who is that person that empowered Brahma? Now, no scientist is going to figure this out. No scientist will know this from a telescope. Because even if you have the most sophisticated telescope now, you cannot see Brahma meditating. And you will not see Krishna revealing to Brahma. You may see Brahma. Let's say your telescope goes right to Brahma Loka and you can see Brahma, but you have no clue beyond Brahma. If you're sharp enough as a scientist, you may now ask Brahma, how did you get here? And ask the same questions that Narad Muni is asking. So clearly, Narad Muni is very intelligent in asking these questions. Therefore, he asked all the above questions. Discoveries of progressive scientific achievements are therefore not independent. The scientist has to attain the knowledge of a thing already existing by means of the wonderful brain made by someone else. A scientist can work with the help of such an awarded brain, but it is not possible for the scientist to create his own or similar brain. Ki Jai. Therefore, no one is independent in the matter of any creation, nor is such creation automatic. So just see how wonderful such a simple point Prabhupada is making. That the scientists cannot figure out creation, figure out things without the brain that was awarded to them. Okay, you make your own brain. And that's the challenge. And yes, they're trying their best to simulate and emulate human beings and brain and intelligence and emotion. But certain parts of the Lord's creation cannot be replicated. Because the power, the potency to replicate is beyond the reach of human beings. Certain powers need to be bestowed upon one, for one to manifest, for one to create. Text 5. Atman bhava vashetani na paraba vayan swayam atma shaktim avastabhya urna nabi ivaklama. As the spider very easily creates the network of its cobweb and manifests its power of creation without being defeated by others, so also you yourself, by employment of your self-sufficient energy, create without any others. So here, Narad Muni is presenting his view of how he's seeing Brahma create, because it seems Brahma is creating without anyone else's assistance. Just like a spider, he creates the cobweb using his saliva. So the saliva is coming from the spider, and he then creates his amazing home. And if he wants to destroy his home, he then takes the cobwebs and consumes it again. So the cobweb, the home, the creation of a spider does not require an external source. The spider itself is the source of that cobweb. Similarly, it seems Brahma is creating just like the spider. He's self-sufficient in terms of the energies. Prabhupada in the purport. The best example of self-sufficiency is the sun. The sun does not require to be illuminated by any other body. Rather, it is the sun which helps all other illuminating agents. For in the presence of the sun, no other illuminating agent becomes prominent. Narada compared the position of Brahma to the self-sufficiency of a spider, who creates its own field of activities without any other's help by the employment of its own energetic creation of saliva. Text 6. Naham veda param yasmin na param na samam vibho nama rupa ganer bhavyam sad asat kinchit antyata. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristic, and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, or equal, eternal or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. The manifested world is full of the varieties of created beings in 8,400,000 species of life. And some of them are superior and inferior to others. In human society, the human being is considered to be the superior living being. And amongst the human beings are there are also different varieties, good, bad, equal, etc. But Narad Muni took for granted that none of them has any source of generation beside his father, Brahmaji. Therefore, he wanted to know all about them from Lord Brahma. In regards to the 8.4 million species, so when Lord Brahma creates, in that specific universe, the 8.4 million species is already existing. It's like you have a wardrobe with 8.4 million species. And Lord Brahma just takes the specific coat or shirt or pants from the wardrobe and hands that to a living entity. So in this way, it's not that there's an evolution of like first species and then another species is created, another species. No. All 8.4 million species exist in its form as a wardrobe in Brahma's creation. And according to the past karma of the living entity, within that specific universe, according to the evolution of time, those specific bodies or species will begin to manifest. And out of the 8.4 million species, 400,000 are human species. So we're the least. And the human form is the most rare amongst all the species. It is also described in scripture why it's rare, because it is only in the human form that we have the ability to inquire and understand God. No other species have that ability. Therefore, you find many songs, Durlabha Manava Janma Satsangya. This human body is Durlabha, this human body is very rare. So we have been given this human form according to the evolution of time. And therefore, we should value the human form. We should be grateful for the human form and we should value its purpose. We should use the human form for what it is designed for. It is in the human form that we can inquire into higher truths, question about higher truths, try to understand the Supreme Lord. And it is only in the human form that we're able to stop the cycle of birth and death. If we misuse the human form, then we will get punished. Law of material nature will confiscate this human form and give us a lower species, a lower life form. So therefore, we should take full advantage of this human form of life. 7. Sabhavam acharat goram yat tapa sushamahita tena kedas yasa nastam para shakam chayas para sakam chayas sachi. Yet we are moved to wonder about the existence of someone more powerful than you. When we think of your great austerities in perfect discipline, although your good self is so powerful in the matter of creation. So as Prabhupada said, this is what triggered Narad Muni to know that there is definitely somebody greater than you because of your austerity. Many people worship Lord Shiva as the supreme, as the greatest. But somebody who's intelligent will say, okay, if Lord Shiva is the supreme, why is he meditating? Because generally meditation is on somebody greater, on something greater. See, if you're meditating on lower energies, then that's degradation. The whole idea of meditation is to evolve to a higher being, to advance, to progress. So generally, people would meditate on something that's more powerful so that one can get the blessings, the energy from that higher source. So Brahma was meditating to get blessings from a higher realm. Lord Shiva is meditating on his Supreme Master. If you see a picture of Krishna, like here, Krishna is not meditating, he's playing a flute. So Krishna is the only person besides in Dwarka where he's meditating on himself. But otherwise, Krishna, he's always playing. He's never meditating on anyone. So that tells us that his position is unique. His position is different from the demigods. Prabhupada in the purport. Following in the footsteps of Sri Narad Muni, one should not blindly accept his spiritual master as God himself. Because if the spiritual master is God, then why is he meditating? Because God would not be meditating. If the spiritual master is God, why is he praying? Because God does not pray. God plays. He doesn't pray. Brahma prays. Lord Shiva prays. All the demigods pray. We pray. Madhuri is saying Krishna also prays. He's praying Radha, 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 Radha. So that will only come after the 10th canto, not before the 10th canto. Before the 10th canto, Krishna doesn't pray. When you go to the 10th canto and you realize the 10th canto, and then you realize Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then yes. So Prabhupada is making the point, one should not blindly accept his spiritual master as God himself. A spiritual master is duly respected on par with God. But a spiritual master claiming to be God himself should be at once be rejected. In the early days, the devotees made this mistake. They started calling Prabhupada God. And Prabhupada was so furious. Prabhupada was very, very, very upset. And he punished them. He gave them sannyas and chased them out into the fields. Prabhupada did not, say, yeah, it's okay. I'm not saying God, they saying, I'm not saying I'm God, they saying, you find so many gurus who the disciples claim they're God and they accept. And then when they question, are you God? No, my disciples call me God, but I don't claim to be God. They call me. But the fact that they calling you God and you accepting it means you are lost. Prabhupada did not say, yeah, my disciples are calling me God, it's okay. No. It's a disastrous mistake to equate a living being to God. That's not right. Yes, they are respected. Shakshat Daritve Nashmasta Shastre. They equate it. Why they equate it? In terms of respect. Why? Kintu Prabhuya Prevatasya. Because they are very dear to Krishna. But are they God? No. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also made it emphatically clear. We are God and not God. How are we God? In quality. How are we not God? In quantity. So there is no question of you and the living entity and God are one, or the spiritual master who's a living entity, who's a jiva, empowered, perfect jiva to be God. Narad Muni accepted Brahma as the supreme due to Brahma's powerful, wonderful acts in creation. But doubts arose in him when he saw that Lord Brahma also worships some superior authority. The supreme is supreme, and he has no worshipable superior. Ahang Gropasita, or the one who worships himself with the idea of becoming God himself, is misleading. And the intelligent disciple can at once detect that the Supreme God does not need to worship anyone, including himself, in order to become God. Ahan Krahopasana may be one of the processes for transcendental realization, but the whole Grahapasita can never be God himself. No one becomes God by undergoing a process of transcendental realization. Narad Muni thought of Brahmaji as the supreme person, but when he saw Brahmaji engage in the process of transcendental, doubts arose in him. So he wanted to be clearly informed. Prabhupada makes it very clear, this is the last snare of Maya, to think that you are God. 8. Etan me prichata sarvam sarvagna sakaleshwara vijanihi yate vedam aham budeshnu shashita. My dear Father, you know everything and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me so that I may be able to understand it as your student. The inquiries made by Narad Muni are very important for someone concerned. And as such, Narad requested Brahmaji to deem them suitable so that all others who may come in the line of disciplic succession of Brahma Sampradaya may also know them properly without any difficulty. So by the blessings of Narad Muni's inquiries, he is presenting the inquiry to Lord Brahma, the first created being. Lord Brahma is qualified. Narad Muni has inquired in terms of the creation, 6 different specific questions, very, very clear, distinct questions about the creation. And he's also inquired about Brahma's position in relation to creation, because it seems that Lord Brahma is the supreme. He's creating without any other source. He is self-sufficient. So is that true or not? So he wants clarification. And that clarification, Lord Brahma is now going to give. And we're going to be hearing that in the forthcoming lectures. We're going to be hearing how Brahma is now going to explain how creation is manifested, different aspects of creation. And naturally, as we go through this canto and its creative aspects of creation, in the 3rd canto, in the 5th canto, we're going to have further expansions of creation described in terms of the details. And then we're also going to hear about Krishna's involvement in the creative process. We will hear Lord Brahma's involvement in the creative process. We'll also hear about Lord Shiva's involvement in the creative process and all the other aspects that go in. Lord Brahma also, we heard in the first verse, Tene Brahma Hirdayadikavaya Muyanti Yatsuraha, that Krishna revealed this knowledge in the heart of Brahma. And Lord Brahma, realizing the Supreme Lord, Krishna, then offered prayers. And that became Brahma Samhita. So in Brahma Samhita also, Lord Brahma expands creation. Now what's interesting is, Lord Brahma spoke many verses in Brahma Samhita. Or you could say, let's put it this way, Lord Brahma spoke many chapters Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only found the 5th chapter out of all the chapters that Lord Brahma spoke. And the 5th chapter is also very special and unique in terms of the verses that are presented by Lord Brahma. It is explained that the Brahma Samhita, all the verses of the Brahma Samhita practically covers the whole process of Krishna consciousness. And it covers the process of creation also in great detail there. So next week, we will continue with this chapter. I didn't want to break up the verses because they are in specific groups. So today we covered the first 8, which is introducing the questions Narad Muni has presented before Lord Brahma. And in our next session, we will continue. Next week is Rath Yatra in Senton. So we will not be having a session. We will be having a session on the 18th. So we will continue on the 18th, hearing from Lord Brahma. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are there any questions or comments on the points that we have mentioned? You're most welcome to type or unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the nectar.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hiresh. Shamananda Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. Very wonderful questions by Narad Muni. Definitely. Exactly what everyone needs to know about and understand. Yes. And isn't it amazing how concise and clear the questions were? And that's why Prabhupada wanted the scientists to know about the Bhagavatam. Because it is very clear. If they're to read and come to this point, it's so clear. It's exactly what they want to know. So as time unfolds and more scientists get to know, that's why Prabhupada had started his Bhaktivedanta Institute, a scientific wing. In fact, Prabhupada, he was funding this wing because he wanted to establish the scientific wing, the devotees who are scientifically minded, like Bhakti Swarup Damodar, Maharaj, Sadaputta, all these great devotees that are scientific or in their occupation scientists, to take this knowledge and then present it to the scientists. So yes, very, very clear questions. Those examples you mentioned, like the sun, planets, the brain we have, etc. Actually, we have to continually thank Srila Prabhupada, because so many simple things about life, creation, the way of the world, etc. Srila Prabhupada pointed out to us and brought us out of darkness and illusion, and that there is a creator and designer of this wonderful machine, computer program, with specific rules and laws, which still now no one else has revealed these truths and realizations to us. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam are the handbooks and manual for this design. Yes. Prabhupada's eloquency, expertise in presenting the knowledge is super mundane, super excellent. It's just amazing. Right. Thank you, Jagannath Priya. Okay, thank you, Yudesh. Good. Thank you very much for everyone's time. Until we meet in 2 weeks, contemplate on our relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Creator. He has created the creation for no one else but you. Just consider, Krishna created the whole creation for you because you wanted it. And it's a playground for us to play and learn our lessons. But it is also a playground for Krishna to perform his pastimes that don't exist in the spiritual world. So your nonsense, our nonsense, for Krishna to create the creation also becomes a service where Krishna can perform his childhood pastimes, his pastimes that don't exist in the spiritual world. This material world also becomes a wonderful place to outreach and encourage and preach to others, which means that for a devotee, this material creation manifests as a different aspect of service, an aspect of service that even the Lord himself desires to come and perform his pastimes and distribute his mercy. So if we use this material world in that way, then this material world becomes the greatest blessing. Material life becomes the greatest blessing for us to render eternal service to the Supreme Lord. Thank you very much for everyone's time. We will meet again in 2 weeks. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Go Pramanande Hari Hari.